Well, Kangana says action, so action it is. Thank you so much for having this conversation, guys. It's always lovely to have this lovely chat, and I'm hoping it's going to be all Dhaakad, is it?
I hope so too, yeah.
So Kangana, I'll start with you, the lady first. You are on fire. The song says so. Agni says so. The whole point of you actually taking on this role was something that is a marked change from what you've done before, but something must have really drawn you into, portraying Agni. What was that?
Oh, it's a long story. So when I started out as an actor, I was caught up in those very suicidal, edgy roles. My launch was my debut was a very unusual film from a very unusual filmmaker, gangster, and then a string of Volam Hai and Fashion and all those just Metro. So these films just gave me the image of a suicidal, homeless, edgy girl, and I was caught up in it so badly. And I was thinking, because I was definitely not that conventional hair flying and dancing item number diva, which in those days was so prevalent, and the topmost actresses, all 3-4 topmost actresses were all doing that kind of stuff. That time I felt that after Fashion and Creation films like those, I felt that okay, this is one category where I can fit, like this action hero, heroine, whether it's Angelina Jolie or in that film, no, Kill Bill and all those films we've grown up watching, and I actively started to train for that. So I remember in those days I used to go to the beach at 4 o'clock and do kickboxing, martial arts, and I kept that going for 1-2 years, which is a long time to dedicate to something where there is no film as such, but you're just simply preparing and hoping that something like that will come about. But it didn't. And things further went downhill for me with films like Rascal and Double Dhamal, and like it just started to regress more and more in terms of what I wanted and all that. With Queen and all those things, I got majorly into acting, and decade went by, and and mentally and physically as far as I could be from what I wanted to do. During Talaivi, I was 33 and I had 20 kgs weight on me, and I also had a different metamorphosis as an individual. Like I don't wear mini skirts anymore. I wear my sari. I feel weird without bindi. So okay, cut to this now when he's sitting in front of me, and now you can imagine what I said, oh no, not this, not now. Like literally I was like, no, not now. It's not happening now. Now it's not possible. So I had completely grown out of that phase and all these things that I had in my mind. I am doing Emergency, which is another kind of a epic political film. So well, but he's very insistent, and I had many more worries that how would I look now at 35 in clothes like these, and like after losing 70 kgs, will I have flab? 20 kgs, will I have flab and all that? Every woman would worry about that, right? So there were many layers of resistance in me in terms of, and they were all very genuine, because when I went on to do this, I did have a very hard time to come back to. But again, though that training did help, which I've had long ago, and he is so good aesthetically. Had it not been for his work, I would never ever take up something like this, because at this point I have so much to lose at this point in my life, to go on doing experiment like that. But he's aesthetically so good. So because of his work, because of his craft, I'm like, okay, fine, let me just see this. And like you said, the song, he's given me so many looks. He and the designer Sheetal Sharma, they're all very outrageously edgy looks. And I think because aesthetically it's so appropriate, and I'm able to pull it off.
And now I come to you, Arjun. The fact that we are on look, you looking absolutely fantastic, and my God, you're like a chameleon on screen. I could not recognize you in the first shot when I actually saw that trailer. What actually egged you on to say this? Because, I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, 2022, we still end up branding a lot of films as women-oriented. I take it as a compliment, but yet, then it becomes a larger debate. Here, this one show would, people will talk about Kangana really driving it, but you are a very, very important aspect, and the trailer says so. So what was your obvious yes for this one?
So I had a very strange journey with Dhaakad.
Strange?
Yeah, it was COVID times. You know, we were kind of in and out of lockdowns, and Sohail Maklai, who came to me, and I've known Sohail for a very, very long time. In fact, he was a producer who I'd signed a film with, and I'm talking about like early 2000s, okay, and I'd landed up on a set, on his set, and then I saw what was happening, and I returned him his signing amount. Okay, I'd given him his check back because I said, I can't do this. Okay, and he was like, what do you mean? Like, we are here to shoot. I was like, no bro, I mean, I'm really sorry, but I can't do this movie. And he didn't speak to me for 10, 12 years after that, and then we kind of patched up and became not friends but acquaintances again. And then suddenly he called me out of the blue very randomly, and he said that he had this massive action film that he wanted to come and present to me.
Okay, now I'm feeling like laughing a little bit. So he called him and he forgot that he's called him. So he was leaving, that he opened the door, he was waiting on the stairs.
You made him wait for 1 or 2 hours.
No, so actually I gave him an appointment and I said, okay, come home, because I didn't want him to come to the office because I was like, I've returned his check. He wants to sign me for a big film. He never told me like it's a woman-oriented action film or whatever. He said, I'm coming, and also I was like, sure, come home.
And you forgot?
But I forgot. No, I forgot that I'd called him. And so I drove into my thing after 2 hours of when he was supposed to come at 6, I drove in at about 8 p.m. and poor Sohail was sitting on the steps of my building, and I felt so bad. So now I said, I can't say no.
I think that was a
No, and then, you know, he came upstairs and we sat and he said, Arjun, I'm making this action film, but it's a very different film. It's driven by the protagonist is a female actor, and we've got Kangana. And he told me that. And I've been very fond of Kangana, and I've really admired her work, and I've seen her graph, you know. And in fact, we both won our first national award together. And so we've been friends. They were kind of lost touch, and I'd seen her work and everything. So I was like, great, you know, I mean, that's good. I've never had a problem doing women-oriented subjects. In fact, I've always backed them, you know, from the time I've started my career. I thought this is going to be a really unique project to be associated with, to be a part of.
Arjun and I go long back, long back. Arjun and I have been very good friends in between. We've done a film and wild parties to everything. He also offered me a film where I had double role. What was it?
Which one was it?
With Ranbir.
Which one was it? Even I've forgotten.
Meanwhile, we can talk about the wild parties.
He's stuck on the word wild.
Bhushan Kumar, no?
Yeah.
So there was this film he was producing. He called me home. He gave me narration. I had a double role, and you know, he was. This is the time before Queen, much before Queen. So you know,
I've always thought that she was a fantastic actress.
Always very encouraging and very. Very warm. I remember him just being so warm and nice to me in those days when there were not many people who were very kind to me. And he offered me that film with he and Ranbir was there.
With Gattu was going to do. It was called.
You guys made it then.
No, we
Jacqueline.
didn't.
Of course.
Roy.
No, we didn't do Roy. What I was telling you, talking to you about was a different one.
You called me for Roy. You narrated me Roy.
Was it Roy?
Yes.
Okay.
Why did you not give the
But
film
I wanted you for another
No,
film.
I didn't
also.
do it then.
Ajay, you chose not to.
Yeah.
Okay.
She did. She was sensible. I'm joking. I really like that movie.
Playing a special agent also meant for you to get into and don different looks. I mean, and talking about the physicality of it all, we can see one of the looks here in the standee that we have. Now, this is just one aspect. So that must have been really, really exciting, because I've seen your graph through the films that you just mentioned while you were responding to my first question. that has been something which is very classic Kangana. Like you actually, whether it is, I think, Once Upon a Time, that particular film also saw you in a different avatar altogether. So when I mentioned chameleon for Arjun, when he appeared as the character that he's playing in Dhaakad, it also stands true for you, for the kind of roles and the looks that you've done for Dhaakad.
I think that's a primary reason why I think Rezi sir wanted me for this film. And he actually fought for me because the producers and all had other names in mind, and they're all top leading actresses, but he wanted me only particularly because I think that ability of mine to transform with looks and all that, I think it's a very peculiar of spies. They've got to get into threatening situations just by basis of disguises and things like that, and we have a couple of disguises in the film. And I think it's because he knew what kind of a film he's making and who he wants, and to the point where he said either I'll make this film with her or I will not make it. So for a new director to go this far, otherwise koi soche theek hai baad mein we'll work with her at some other time, but I don't think working with me was his priority. His priority was ki theek hai, then I can, if somebody else is available, I'll make some other script. But with her, I will make this script. So like that, So the reason why he's made this film is very authentic, and the fact that he's really got a vision, he's really got a story to tell, and that's why precisely why we are here. And I'm only happy to be a part of something so exciting, because hamare paas, it doesn't come very often to us being in this film industry, these kind of opportunities, and being a woman, though even less. So I'm just very fortunate to be part of this opportunity.
But it's interesting you still say that, because I was interviewing Ajay Devgn the other day, and he very extensively spoke about this thing called Bollywood bonhomie, how everybody together promotes each other's films and all of that. I have seen you do it, whether it is RRR or for that matter Bhool Bhulaiya. The film is releasing with you guys. You've gone ahead and overtly praised Kiara and her character and stuff. So do you think that is both ways? Do you think it's still there? People in the industry are supporting one another, going ahead and promoting a Dhaakad for that matter?
But Ajay Devgn will never promote my film. He will promote other films, but he will never promote my film. Like Akshay Kumar, he called me quietly to tell me hush hush, I love your Thalaivi and this and that, but he will not tweet my trailer.
Why do you think that is?
You need to ask them, right? I can't answer on their behalf. Mr. Bachchan tweeted my trailer and then immediately deleted it. Now you'll ask me, why did you do that? I don't know. You need to ask them. Ajay Devgn goes and does a role in a female-centric film, but will he do that in my film? I will be more than obliged, and I will be more than grateful if he does. If he supports my film, how Arjun is supporting my film. But I think of course, it is quite evident that they don't want to, and it is something so spectacular that has come in the industry, and I think all the actors should support me also as I support them, whether it is Kriti Sonon's Mimi, or it is RRR, or I was the first one to start a campaign for Kashmir Files. I am the first one to praise Sher Shah, go out of my way, to tell even Siddharth and to even praise Karan Johar's film. I did that, and it openly, not making quiet calls and all that. Openly I did that. It's not about my liking and disliking for people. It is about cinema, right? So this kind of bonding only exists among themselves, but when I reach out, the same reciprocation I don't get, not yet, but I'm sure I will at some point.
Arjun, we're not talking about cams over here, but you've seen both if we have a section like pro-Kangana and anti-Kangana, I don't want to use the word, but I'm just trying to actually divide it. You have dealt with both the spheres because you know Kangana well, you have worked with her, you're working in this film with her. Do you think this is there? Do you think that sort of those camps are there, very prevalent, or probably that factor is...
No, I will answer on Arjun's behalf, because of course, why should he answer on my... You can ask ma'am here.
Sure.
How you asking me what Ajay Devgn thinks,
sure,
what Amitabh Bachchan thinks, or what he said. It's the same way you can ask me the question that are about me.
Please.
So Arjun is his own person. He has... he definitely doesn't belong to a camp, and that is why when this film came to him, he gave a very spontaneous answer to it, without thinking about kiska kiske saath kya hoge, ye kya shatranj kidhar jameगी, without thinking about that. And the way he has, the way he has evolved as an artist over the years, it's easy to see that he never encourages or discourages a certain people or certain groups, or or seen with them, or thinking about the consequences of supporting this or that. No. So he is his own person, and that's why his choices are such that he can today work with me or pretty much anybody in the industry. I'm sure about that. So I'm sure he wouldn't like to comment on my equations in the industry, what kind of bias I am subjected to. I can answer that on.
What I also feel is that if you choose to be vocal about certain things, which I'm sure, and very rightfully so, to each his own, like Arjun said, if they choose to not be making political comments, for example, then that's their right, and that's your right, well within your rights to probably go.
My films are not about politics.
Absolutely.
Right? So when they are, if say a certain section of artists promote, for example, Tukde Gang, and I don't, that doesn't stop me from appreciating their film.
Yeah.
Right? The same way, if I support the integrity of the nation, why should it stop you? That's what I'm saying, that you should be a little objective. And if you're not, then of course I understand that you're not. And I'm not trying to influence their decision. I'm just putting my opinion out there. Neither I'm saying that it is in some way, harming me. No, I am surviving, thriving in a very good way. So just because we're giving interview, if you see my reality show also,
yes,
the way that I did it, the winner of our reality show is not a very conventional, person who everybody agreed with, that somebody like Kangana, whose ideology doesn't go well with the winner of the show, which she declared the winner of the show. If I can have objectivity, then why not you?
Yeah, absolutely.
As simple as that. Right?
Absolutely. So this is what I was wanting to get at. Has it gotten down to that? Because if you go ahead, let's say Jaipur mein aapka song launch hua tha, you made a comment on bulldozers. Do you think things like this impact the association, so to speak? Whereas a Swara also is as vocal, but the tables are not really as well turned. Do you see that happening?
See, I mean, I don't want to bring any other artist into it and again comment on their behalf. I can only tell you from what I do, and I can only be answerable for my actions. So I'm saying that I'm very objective. I can go out and promote a Shersha because I think the film is about a martyr. It is not about Karan Johar. So I simply say, why can't you promote Lakshmi Bai? Right? So when I can make a person who's accused of abusing, gods and hurting the sentiments of a certain religion, if I can say that, okay, fine, I'm not claiming that it's somebody righteous or larger than life, but a badass, right? If I can be objective in his efforts, whatever he has put in to be there where he is, then why that objectivity is not seen when I am doing something? So all I'm saying is, because you started with Ajay Devgn, because he's been only a certain individual, a certain woman who has the backing of a certain camp. He is conveniently promoting only those camp and those ideologies. So why not promote my film? I challenge him. Tweet my trailer if he promotes everybody. No, why not? He has acted with me in a film. Yes. What did I do? मैंने क्या उनका खा के वापस नहीं दिया? Exactly. मैंने कुछ लिया है जो वापस नहीं दिया? आप मुझे बताइए. I've been most cordial. He even told me I am one of his most favorite actors. तो अब क्या हो गया है? What has changed now is what I want to know. Nothing has changed. It's only because certain ideologies have got together, a certain way of functioning in the industry, and I have been isolated in a very unfortunate way, where I feel my films, which I am only a very small part of, like Dhaakad, I'm a very small part of this film. This film has somebody else's money at stake. This film is somebody else's idea. This film is entirely somebody else's 3 years or 4 years hard work. And I may have given maybe 80 to 90 days out of those hard work. And so I'm a very insignificant part, actually, to be honest. Okay. So I don't want my films to be suffering just because people are insecure of a woman. You know, they should see the larger picture and they should rise above their insecurities. Why I'm keeping these examples of various things that I'm doing to tell them that, you know, I am, if I can be objective, so they can be.
I just need one question because this is a debate that's really doing the rounds. Marital rape, criminalization, Delhi High Court ने एक split verdict दिया है. What are your views on whether it should be criminalized or not?
See, there are always two sides to the coin. Of course, marital rape जो है, अगर जो महिलाएं situation से जाती हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने marriage कर ली तो कोई rape नहीं हो सकता. You know, there are so many situations that one can have, especially when you are on your periods, when you are tired, when you are ill, when you have fever, when you have stomach infection, so much more one can be feeling and, you know, not be okay with it. So rape is a possibility in a marriage also. But at the same time, now where do we draw the line to this? How many innocents and husband-wife fights can be of so many nature. We have seen in Tanu Manu, you know, where a person can go to any extent to prove the other person wrong, so much so that they can put them in Pagal Khana, you know, just to prove a point. And we have all seen in relationship how vindictive people get, and every day people are reaching Thana to do complain, and in the night they go home, you know, laughing and smiling and holding hands. So in that kind of, how much of court's time going to be wasted, and how many men, innocent men, are going to be subjected to this kind of scrutiny, and where does the line starts, the line of rape in a relationship? With a stranger, of course, it starts when the person touches you. In a relationship, when does it start? Who is going to decide that? Which party is going to decide that? And the judge is, are we going to call for sex expert judges or intimacy experts, or who are going to decide that? It's not an easy subject. So all this needs to be considered, and of course this dual judgment, whatever it is, I'll go through it, and then only I can tell you what I feel about it.
तो एक headline, क्योंकि कंगना की धाकड़ बातें चलती रहेंगी, so this one headline when I was trying to research about the film is really everywhere, is about this problem about Kangana की शादी है कहाँ से, where has this come from? Kangana is looking for a groom. Where is this coming from, guys? Something is, I mean, आप लोगों ने कुछ करा होगा, I'm sure. Something is happening.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting dragged into controversies and all of that. Okay,
but it's a good controversy, ना शादी. If तुम मेरी शादी करवा रहे हो, तो it's good.
हाँ, अर्जुन is the matchmaker.
किसी को शादी वादी नहीं करवानी मुझे किसी की. Okay, आप लोग को शादी करनी है, आके ढूंढने आपके दूल्हे राजा को.
अब इसमें भी कुछ बुरा है कि दोस्त अगर आपकी शादी करी, इसमें भी हमने कुछ किया क्या?
Wait, that's why I want to know, ये धाकड़ में कंगना की शादी कहाँ से आ गई? Why is this the only headline?
अरे पता है क्या होता है? Because you go to these various platforms, जहाँ पे TikTok type आप promote करते हैं, आप reels बना रहे हैं, आप, you know, so people are playing something, people are doing these kind of rapid things, and all kind of fun banter is happening, because आप हमेशा ही तो serious बातें नहीं कर सकते, you know, and the nature of the digital age is such, it's all about fun and banter. उसमें कोई बात निकली होगी, अब उसकी बाल, उसकी तो खाल
I think it's just taken out of context.
No. So I'll tell you exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy asked me to put an ad out, okay, play a guy who's putting a matrimonial ad out for Kangana.
For Kangana or the secret agent Agni?
No, for Kangana. For Kangana. Okay, so I was like, dude, I don't do that stuff. Okay, and I'm an actor, I work with a script and all of that. Give me a script, I'll act it out for you. But he said, no, do it just like that. So I was like, listen, she's a great actor. And in that, before that, he had said, कि मेरी औकात नहीं है. I had a crush on Kangana and मेरी औकात नहीं है, which I agreed.
He wanted to marry Kangana.
He wanted to. Okay, कि इन्होंने मुझे
Did he ask him?
घास तक नहीं डाला मेरी तरफ. So I was like, वो भी सही है.
अरे radio jockey यार.
Yeah, so it was a joke.
Talk. It's not that
it was a joke that is happening. And now it's been taken out of context, and I am the person who's looking for a groom, which is not true. Okay, not true. But she's a very pretty woman. She's single, and.
अरे I am not single यार. तुम कुछ ज़्यादा ही अभी for granted ले रहे हो मुझे.
Arjun, what is this?
मैं चुप्पी हो जाता हूँ.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for doing this. All the best for Dhaakad.
Thank you.
And hope your film does absolutely fantastic.
20th of May, please watch it.